You ever look at the person sleeping next to you and wonder how you actually got here? Not the dates or the apps. I mean, the deeper why. Why this specific person? Why this specific kind of pain? We choose the fire that burns us. We choose the distance that starves us. If you stop looking at them and start looking at the history of your own choices, you realize something uncomfortable. It doesn't look like bad luck anymore. It looks like a system. Psychology tells us that we do not choose partners based on who is good for us. We choose them based on who fits the empty space inside us. We look for people who allow us to replay our oldest struggles, or who offer us the protection we never had, or who reflect the parts of ourselves we are too scared to look at. You might wonder why you feel a magnetic pull toward people who wreck you, while the steady, kind ones feel strangely dull. It is your subconscious mind trying to solve a puzzle it was handed years ago. To understand your relationships, you have to understand the machinery running beneath the floorboards of your emotions. So, here are the 6 types of relationships you will encounter, and the psychology hiding behind each one. Let's start with the one that gets everyone in trouble. The karmic bond. You meet them, and the chemistry is instant. It feels electric. It feels like you've known them for 1,000 years. Your brain immediately starts firing off dopamine and oxytocin, and you think, this must be destiny. We have a past life connection. We are meant to teach each other a lesson. You assume that this level of intensity can only mean one thing, that you are meant to be. But you need to be very, very careful with instant magnetic connections. High familiarity usually means high trauma. We often use spiritual words to describe a relationship that is volatile, passionate, and painfully difficult. But in psychology, this has a specific name: repetition compulsion, proposed by Sigmund Freud. It simply means, I will replay my earliest wounds, hoping that this time I can change the ending. You meet someone, and your conscious mind sees a stranger, but your internal wiring recognizes a specific emotional frequency. Maybe they have the same distance as your father. Maybe they have the same critical edge as your mother. Your brain lights up not because this person is good for you, but because they feel known. They feel like the past. This creates a chemistry that we mistake for destiny. The highs are incredible because you feel for a moment that you are finally winning the love you were denied back then. But the lows are devastating because the wound is being ripped open, not healed. It creates a specific chemical hook in your brain. It is called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same trick casinos use to keep you playing the slot machines. They pull you in, then they push you away. They give you love, then they take it back. And your brain gets addicted to the maybe. You stay because you are waiting for the high to come back. You think if you just try harder, you can fix them. But the lesson here isn't about fixing them. It's about fixing your addiction to the storm. You have to learn that a racing heart isn't always a good sign. Sometimes it's a warning. You stay in these connections far longer than you should because your psyche is trapped in a cycle, thinking, if I can just make this person love me, I will finally be worthy. You're trying to rewrite history with a new cast of characters, but the script remains unchanged. The lesson of this loop is not to fix the other person. It is to realize that you are trying to fix a damaged reflection of your own history. Breaking this cycle requires a painful realization that a known love is not always a healthy love, and that real stability often feels boring to a mind wired for storms. The narcissistic bond. This is the dynamic that confuses intelligent people the most. The narcissistic relationship begins not with conflict, but with perfection. Psychologists call this mirroring. Because you are perceptive, you are open. You reveal your depth, your dreams, and your fears early on. A narcissistic partner absorbs this data and reflects it back to you with terrifying precision. They become exactly who you need them to be. You think you have found your twin, your equal, the one person who finally gets it. The psychology here relies on idealization and devaluation. It starts with love bombing. They seem perfect, too perfect. They say the exact words you have been waiting to hear. They mirror your dreams back to you, and you think you have finally been seen. You are placed on a pedestal, which floods your brain with dopamine, creating a bond that feels absolute. But you aren't being understood. You are being mirrored. The narcissist scans you for vulnerabilities. They find the empty spots in your ego and fill them with compliments. For the empathetic mind, this is fatal. You have high cognitive empathy. You sense their deep insecurity. You see the scared child underneath the armor, and you want to help. But the dynamic is predatory. They view you as supply, a resource to be consumed. Once they have secured your devotion, the mask falls. The moment you show a human flaw or assert a boundary, the illusion shatters. And then the devaluation begins. Suddenly, your depth is too much, your emotions are excessive, and your needs are demanding. You find yourself working harder and harder to get back to that initial golden phase. You are waiting for the good version of them to come back. The tragedy is that you lose your reality to theirs. Gaslighting erodes your trust in your own perception. You start to believe that you are the problem, that if you could just be less complex, less sensitive, things would go back to being perfect. But the psychology here is rigid. They cannot offer the reciprocity you need because they are protecting a hollow core. The relationship was never a window into a shared future. It was a mirror they used to admire themselves until they got bored of the reflection. What can be even more exhausting is the parasitic bond. There is a specific trap that highly intelligent, high empathy people fall into: the need to be useful. You are a problem solver by nature. You see potential where others see ruin. And this makes you the perfect target for the parasitic relationship. You step in to organize their life, you fix their problems, you manage their emotions. This dynamic relies on enmeshment. You lose where you end, and they begin. In this dynamic, the connection is defined by a rigid imbalance. You are the giver, they are the taker. Psychologically, this often stems from pathological altruism. You derive your sense of worth from your ability to help, to fix, to save, or to stabilize someone else. You attract partners who are projects, people with potential but no execution, people with sad stories but no accountability. They lean on your stability. They use your resources, your mental clarity, and your emotional bandwidth to prop themselves up. And initially, this feels good to you. It feels like purpose. You think, they need me, therefore they love me. But the parasitic partner does not want to get better. They want to be carried. They feed on your energy until you are depleted, a phenomenon known as compassion fatigue. You begin to feel heavy, drained, and resentful, yet you feel guilty for thinking about leaving. You rationalize their behavior. They are going through a hard time. They just need one big break. But the cycle is structural, not situational. The psychology of the parasite is one of entitlement. They believe the world owes them, and you have become their world. The lesson here is about your own boundaries. You have to learn that love is not about how much you can endure for someone else. Love is about two whole people coming together, not one person carrying the other on their back. You cannot save people from their own choices. Now let's talk about twin flame. This is a controversial term, often wrapped in magic, but let's look at it through the lens of psychology. People describe a twin flame as a soul connection that triggers an explosion of growth and intensity. Psychologically, we can view this as an encounter with your shadow self. The shadow proposed by Carl Jung is the unknown, dark side of the personality. Everything we deny, repress, or refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. When you meet this person, the attraction is nuclear because they embody the parts of yourself that you have locked away. If you are rigid, they are wild. If you are overly logical, they are pure, raw emotion. You are drawn to them because they represent your own unloved potential. But this dynamic is often fueled by limerence, an involuntary state of intense romantic desire, obsessiveness, and fear of rejection. The relationship is characterized by the runner-chaser dynamic. One person chases while the other runs. The pain in this relationship serves a psychological function. It forces you to integrate your shadow. The intensity rips away your defenses. It forces you to look at your own insecurities, your own abandonment wounds, your own capacity for obsession. The purpose of this connection is individuation, growth through friction. They are a mirror held up to your darkest corners. They force you to look at what you have buried. But mirrors are cold. They show you the truth, but they cannot hold you. We often try to build a house in the fire, but the fire is only there to burn away what no longer serves us. You do not need them to complete you. You needed them to show you what was missing in your own internal universe. Finally, we arrive at the relationship that the intelligent mind often overlooks because it lacks the noise of the others. The soulmate. In psychological terms, this is secure attachment combined with high cognitive resonance. It is not flashy. It does not scream. It feels, surprisingly, like relief. When you are with a soulmate, your internal sensors down-regulate. You move from a state of fight or flight into a state of rest and digest. Polyvagal theory calls this co-regulation, where two bodies biologically soothe each other. For the intelligent person, a soulmate offers something rare: intellectual shelter. You do not have to translate your thoughts. You do not have to simplify your sentences. They understand your silence just as well as your words. There's a sense of flow in the relationship. The friction is low and the understanding is high. But here is the challenge. If you are used to the storms of karmic loops or the highs of narcissistic mirroring, a soulmate can feel boring at first. You might mistake the absence of anxiety for a lack of chemistry. You might think, where is the chase? Where is the butterfly feeling? But those butterflies are often just anxiety masquerading as love. Real love is steady. It is a partnership of two sovereign individuals who choose each other every day, not out of desperate need, but out of clear, enthusiastic desire. It allows you to turn your energy outward toward the world rather than consuming it all on maintaining the relationship. With a soulmate, you build. You do not just mirror each other, you witness each other. And for the deep thinker, being truly witnessed, without judgment, without projection, without distortion, is the highest form of love there is. At last, there is the anomaly. The person who arrives solely to destroy your old life. They are the catalyst. explained by self-expansion theory. They introduce you to new worlds, new art, new thoughts, new ways of being. They expand the boundaries of your reality. You will identify this connection by how much you change. Look at your routine before they showed up. You were likely numb, settling for relationships that don't make you happy, or working for a boss who diminished you. You were asleep at the wheel. Then they enter. Suddenly, you are listening to music that used to annoy you. You are reading books that challenge your worldview. You stop nodding politely at dinner parties and start speaking your real opinion, even if it makes people uncomfortable. You find the courage to end friendships that have been dead for years. You aren't just trying on a new personality. You are shedding a skin that became too tight. They act as a permission slip for your own evolution. They usually arrive when you are stuck, trapped in a life that is too small for your spirit but too comfortable to leave. You have outgrown your container, yet you are paralyzed by the fear of breaking it. So, the universe sends the catalyst to break it for you. They are the lightning strike in the dead forest, the force of nature that clears the dead wood. They force you into an identity crisis, stripping away the roles and masks you have worn for years, leaving you exposed but finally awake. But the tragedy of the catalyst is their transience. They are a bridge, not a destination. We often make the mistake of clinging to the catalyst, trying to domesticate a hurricane, hoping to make them permanent. But their energy is too volatile to hold. Their departure is often abrupt and devastating, triggering a profound sense of loss. Yet, this pain serves a purpose. It initiates post-traumatic growth. Without them, you would have remained asleep. They leave you standing amidst the rubble of your old self, not to punish you, but so you can finally have the space to build something real. If you look back at your timeline now, you can probably place names next to these chapters. You can see who was the mirror, who was the catalyst, who was the lesson, and it is easy to feel regret, to feel that you wasted time on the wrong people. But from the perspective of your psychological evolution, no time was wasted. Every connection taught you a specific lesson about your own boundaries, your own shadow, and your own capacity for depth. You had to experience the noise to understand the value of stillness. You had to be drained to learn the value of your own energy.